The wealthy Burns wanted to steal a copper coin from the wishing well, but he fell into the wishing well.
Help me! Help me!
Burns was about to drown. At that moment, Homer rescued him to repay Homer. Burns promised Homer he would give him a surprise. He would pick up Homer at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Now Burns wanted to take that copper coin.
Got it.
See you at 5 then.
The next day, Homer got into Burns' luxury car. Burns invited Homer to eat his favorite Chicago pizza. He was going to take Homer to Chicago.
Drive to Chicago? I don't have time for that.
Who said anything about drive?
Private jet!
So they arrived at Burns' private jet. The plane not only had exclusive seating, but also beautiful flight attendants serving meals. After dinner, they could drink fine wine and watch TV. Burns even invited a famous singer to perform on the plane. After the plane landed, Homer was reluctant to leave the aircraft. Seeing this, the captain called for an extraction machine. The machine transported Homer from the private jet to Burns' luxury car.
Oh, hush. Now let's enjoy the Miami of Canada, Chicago.
Next, the two enjoyed a wonderful Chicago trip. They first went to get their hair done. Then they watched an improvisational performance where the audience provided the plot. The play created by Homer and Burns was loved by many audience members.
Why are you applauding them? We wrote it.
In this way, the audience escorted Homer and Burns to the private jet. After Homer bid farewell to the audience, he left Chicago on the plane. The next morning, Homer was delivered to his doorstep by the extraction machine. Marge opened the door for Homer. Homer described the private jet experience to her. Marge was envious of him, but Homer was sad because he realized he would never have the chance to fly on a private jet again. From then on, Homer had no interest in doing anything. When the kids greeted Homer, he remained immersed in sadness. At this moment, a man appeared. This was Colby, an expert Marge found for Homer.
He'll get you back on a private plane in no time.
But Homer didn't trust any psychotherapists or motivational speakers.
I'm a life coach.
Oh, tell me more.
First, Homer needed to thoroughly examine his life. He wanted to teach Bart a lesson before the camera started rolling.
No.
Colby needed Homer to do some things he would normally do. Homer didn't know what he normally did either. Colby decided to document a day in Homer's life. In the morning, Homer was too lazy to even put on socks because he didn't want to take off his socks. Colby thought Homer's behavior was that of a loser. To prove he was a winner, Homer started putting on socks.
Think positive, think positive.
Colby suggested Homer not go downstairs while putting on socks because one can only do something well by concentrating.
Never don't concentrate.
Will you shut up? I can't hear the song in my head.
Homer always failed at everything in life, but it was different when he picked up a bowling ball. Colby thought Homer needed to be in daily life, just like he was at the bowling alley. His solution was to have Homer wear bowling shoes all the time. Homer also thought it was a good idea. Homer wearing bowling shoes really improved his work efficiency. Through Colby's promotion, many companies sent Homer interview invitations.
How many of those have private plane?
This one.
This aircraft company needed a quality inspector to ensure Homer could focus on this new job. Colby helped Homer quit his original job. Homer went to the new company for an interview. The boss really liked Homer.
If you can write your name so I can read it, you're in.
But Homer wasn't hired. To keep his family from worrying, Homer could only pretend he had found a job. The next day, the whole family came to the door to wish Homer well on his first day of work. But Homer could only spend the day at a burger restaurant. He asked the staff for all the mazes in the restaurant to pass the time. But all these mazes were the same.
Somebody's gotta do them.
But lies always get exposed eventually. During a school field trip, Bart discovered Homer at the burger restaurant. Homer quickly hid in the ball pit.
I know it's you, Homer. Why aren't you at your new job?
Homer explained that he actually hadn't found a job. He had a great conversation with the boss on interview day. But regarding professional knowledge about the job, Homer knew nothing.
Come on, say you're hired. No.
Homer tried to force the boss to hire him and was ultimately kicked out. Bart told Homer he must tell Marge about this because Marge thought Homer could make a lot of money. She had replaced all the household items with those used by wealthy people.
Hello?
Homer needed to tell Marge something. Marge immediately sensed it was bad news.
No, it's good news.
Really?
Homer lied to Marge that the company invited him and Marge to take a private jet to New York for a meeting. Homer gave all his money to the pilot. This money would allow the two of them to fly around once. Homer planned to tell Marge the truth on the plane. At that moment, the plane suddenly hit turbulence. Homer went to the cockpit and discovered the pilot was actually drunk. He decided to pilot the plane himself.
What's the ocean doing in the sky?
At this critical moment, Marge thought of life coach Colby, but Colby didn't have time right now. Marge promised to give all her money to Colby. She hoped Colby could encourage Homer. Colby asked Homer what happened.
I'm trying to land a plane with no experience.
After hearing it, he admitted he was a fraud and probably couldn't help Homer, but he suggested Homer look ahead. Unexpectedly, this actually helped Homer avoid the airship in front. Although Colby didn't understand planes, he understood Homer. So Colby prepared to insult Homer to stimulate his potential.
So you'll land that plane. And do you know why? Because I heard some guy say you couldn't.
What? I'll show him. I'll show that guy.
To prove his ability to Colby, Homer actually managed to land the plane successfully.
You landed a jet?
Now to taxi to the terminal. Go!
When Homer was rescued by helicopter, he had figured out how to explain to Marge. Although working on planes was good, it was too dangerous. So Homer planned to return to his original workplace.
I understand, homie.
Homer swung the hook in his hand and threw it onto the helicopter. He was going to use his tow truck to haul away the helicopter, but his truck was lifted into the air by the helicopter. Seeing this, Homer knocked the helicopter down to the ground. The reason Homer became the Tow King has to start with Maggie not sleeping. Maggie now refused to go to sleep. Marge had no choice but to get her some milk. She asked Homer to hold Maggie for a moment, but Maggie didn't want to leave Marge. At the critical moment, Marge put down the milk and hugged Maggie.
Spilled milk!
Afterward, he went to the convenience store to buy milk, but the milk had already been bought by kids to make jetpacks. Then Homer prepared to go to Moe's bar to buy milk. Moe had a cup of something that could be either milk or paint.
It's paint. Or is it? Yeah, it's paint.
Homer went to the neighboring town and finally found milk, but he had parked his car in the wrong spot. The tow truck driver learned that Homer had come from a neighboring town to buy milk for his child, so he decided to take Homer to the tow yard. Homer planned to get his license first. On the way, Homer chatted with the tow truck driver. He envied how the driver's boss allowed him to listen to music while working. The driver said his boss allowed him to do anything because the boss was right there in the truck.
But it's just you and me. That must mean I'm your boss. I'm sick of you. You're fired.
The driver explained to Homer that he himself was the boss. His job was easy, he just drove around. When he saw illegally parked cars, he'd tow them away. People would even stand outside their cars, begging him not to tow them. Homer envied the man's work. Seeing Homer's interest, the man suggested he become Springfield's tow truck driver, because the previous tow truck driver there had been beaten to death.
I would love to. Oh, but I don't have a tow truck.
The man decided to sell his old tow truck to him. There were 2 rules for being a tow truck driver. First, he could only tow cars in Springfield. If Homer came to his territory to tow cars, he'd be killed. Second, never point the hook outward.
Why? What happens if I point it this way? Oh, hello!
The next day, Homer started his towing work. He was a bit nervous on his first job and hooked the wrong spot. The next time, Homer successfully towed away a car, and he even encountered a car owner begging for mercy. Homer didn't listen to the explanation and just drove off with the car. This car could even take Bart along for a wild ride. Bart kept telling Homer to speed up, but there was a stop sign ahead. Homer's towing business made quite a bit of money, so he treated his friends to the finest drinks at Moe's Tavern. Homer learned that Lenny's car was illegally parked outside, so he immediately left the bar. Homer didn't listen to Lenny's explanation and just towed his car away. Soon, a large number of cars waiting to be redeemed piled up in front of Homer's house. Even the school bus and the kids on it were towed there. After having his car towed, Principal Skinner could only move forward using a chair.
You can't impound my spirit.
Homer's actions offended many Springfield residents, although everyone had parked illegally. Homer's approach was like that of a bandit. At this moment, an old lady stood up. Her 3 previous husbands had all been tow truck drivers. The taboo for tow truck drivers was poaching others' territory, so they set up a car with obvious violations in the neighboring city, and they replaced the city limit sign there with one saying Springfield. Soon Homer discovered this car. This car covered in violations could earn Homer a fortune. Homer was just about to take the car away when the man who had sold Homer the tow truck appeared.
I told you to stay off my turf!
But I'm still in Springfield. What? Okay, I made a mistake.
The man didn't listen to Homer's explanation and knocked him out. He towed Homer's truck away and hung Homer on the hook. To punish Homer, the man kept drifting around with him on the hook.
All right, buddy, that's it. I'm at.
Then the man carried Homer back to his home. He opened an underground chamber and threw Homer down. Homer saw the previously disappeared tow truck drivers there. The former tow truck drivers had been locked up there for a long time. Now Homer would be locked up there forever too. Springfield no longer had a tow truck driver. Everyone started parking wherever they wanted. The streets were soon filled with parked cars. Even blimps and ships had to park on the streets. The current predicament could only be solved by baby Maggie. Previously, Maggie had been too dependent on her mother. Marge hoped she could be more independent, so she followed an education expert's advice and deliberately distanced herself from Maggie. Even if Maggie kept crying, she couldn't go check on her.
You see? Now her childhood can begin you alive.
Maggie quickly adapted to independent life. She prepared breakfast and books for herself. She even learned to trim her own nails. Maggie also cut her hair to make a baby book. Seeing independent Maggie, Marge felt somewhat disappointed instead. She could only hug a potato and pretend to take care of a child. Marge was somewhat worried about the missing Homer. Maggie saw Marge looking sad, so she decided to save this family. Maggie quietly snuck out and rode the family dog. Her goal was to find Homer. The dog carried Maggie and sprinted outside. Homer couldn't be found anywhere in Springfield, so they crossed through forests and waded through rivers. Finally, the dog brought Maggie to the neighboring city. Maggie suddenly discovered a clue about Homer on the ground. She rode the dog toward Homer. At this moment, Homer was telling stories to the tow truck drivers. Maggie heard Homer's voice. They followed the voice and found the missing Homer.
Maggie!
Just then, the tow truck driver was about to leave. Maggie hooked the hook onto the railing. As soon as the driver drove off, Homer was rescued.
Maggie, you did all this?
Marge saw Homer and happily hugged him. This was all Maggie's achievement.
Look at you, so grown up. Well, I've moved on too.
Maggie angrily walked toward the potato and knocked it down with one blow.
Are you sure? Hugs are dropping. Oh.